Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
And good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Catch Our Drift. Joining me in studio, my co-host and esteemed editor and owner of the Current newspaper, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Yes,
on this
nice
show.
to have
it
you
seems
back.
like you're here more often than I am.
Well,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Well, but it's good because then I come in here and I get all aggravated. Right?
I want a twofold increase in my pay.
You can have it.
Okay.
It's done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome to The Drift, and what we do every Saturday on the Drift Radio Show is go over the news that we put on the dailydrift.com. It's
the news you need to know.
Oh, you did good.
I've been out of practice. I had to really time myself.
You and Alex do a pretty good job bang up. He's learning quick, isn't he? Okay, well, thank you guys for filling in for me last week. I had a wedding to go to, and congrats to my niece and her new husband. So that was a really nice wedding that I managed to go to. Took my son with me up north. It was fun.
For some reason, I thought it was your nephew. I thought it was Doug's son. I guess I got that wrong.
No, his daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, but it was a great wedding, and I went to Petoskey, and beautiful. Nice little town. Not as busy as Traverse City, so I would highly recommend it. I'll give a little plug for them. Go to Petoskey. It's a great place to visit. Yeah, really nice.
Spend a lot of money.
I wasn't that bad. I didn't think the prices at the restaurants were ungodly by any stretch of the imagination. There was one restaurant. I'll give them a plug. New York in Harbor Springs. Great restaurant. I'm astounded. I've never seen my son eat with such ferocity. Right? Yeah, it was really good. The food was excellent. So thumbs up to New York and Harbor Springs. But it was a great wedding and a good weekend. And now we're back to the
grind.
The grind. Right. So, well, you want to do a sponsor this half hour? We didn't even think about it. Oh, there you go. Regal Automotive. If you're looking for car parts, don't necessarily go out and buy new ones. Why bother? There are a lot of good used parts out there.
Pre-stressed.
Pre-tested.
Yes.
Yeah. Regal Automotive in Whitmore Lake. You can catch them at 734-663-0976. That's 734-663-0976. And you can also find them on Facebook, Regal Automotive and Auto Parts, right?
Yep.
Good place to go. So, tons to cover today, really. I didn't come in with a huge agenda just because I'm assuming, folks, you can call into the show, 734-822-1600, and we can go over any of the news of the week. But I kind of wanted to start with the nothing burgers, the mountains out of molehills that the media, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers are all making out of Michael Cohen.
But Manafort. But impeach.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from Dianne Feinstein this morning talking about let's stop the SCOTUS pick because Trump and the Cohen. And I'm thinking, you know what, lady? I just tweeted her back. I said, if I took an unvetted, biased, unfettered, unlimited, budgeted investigatory team and put them on you and told them to look at all your friends, acquaintances, relatives, and associates.
I'm sorry, Chinese spy car drivers?
Hello? And let them go to town, you'd be in jail already, woman.
No, she wouldn't. She's a Democrat.
She's a Democrat, yeah. Point taken. But that's what the point is.
I mean, when you have a Chinese spy for 20 years driving you around, and you are on intelligence committees, holy mackerel. And then, of course, her husband makes all that money from investments in China. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, she's predisposed pro-China anyhow.
Oh, yeah. Her husband gets a lot of, there's some behind-the-scenes kickbacks and contracts and everything else. Same with Pelosi's husband. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't walk in and get...
San Francisco real estate.
Folks, let's remind everybody.
For the little person.
$174,000 salary for a congressman or $200 for a senator in Washington, D.C. is not very much money.
It's a pittance.
It's a pittance because the cost of living in D.C. is astronomical.
Well, you're maintaining your home in your home state, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, some don't anymore. You know, they just become swamp dwellers, and then they sleep in their offices because they can't afford the real estate in D.C.
And the point being, But every congressman, senator, previous president goes into D.C. and comes out richer. Except for Donald Trump, of course, who's actually losing money while he's in there. So it is a swamp. It's a disgrace, and it just makes me absolutely ill. But let's take a call from Joe in Wyandotte.
Oh, is this the Joe part of the show?
This is the Joe part of the show. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, you struck a nerve right away with Cohen.
Hey, you're striking a nerve with a lot of people. But.
Wait a minute, Joe wants to talk about what we're talking about?
For a change.
Whoa.
Yeah. What do you got, Joe?
Well, I am talking about what you were talking about. You just left the topic too quickly. Yeah, well, in the whole Supreme Court pick, Bill Clinton was under investigation when he got one of his picks.
Yeah.
So, don't give us this Schumer double standard crap. And what few people mention is the whole Cohen thing is a sham. That charge that they got him to cop a plea to was filed against John Edwards with the real Hunter situation, and it was a hung jury and therefore dismissed. So a precedent has already been set that is not a crime to use your own money during a campaign, unless if they cut a check from the elect Trump campaign to Stormy Daniels. It is not a campaign finance violation.
But that's what the libs would have you believe. That's the talking point, the big lie they're putting out, was that, I believe it was from campaign contributions. That's what I see in comments on Facebook. I've heard people on the news, but we think there's evidence. You don't have any, but we think that if you say it enough, you besmirch the character enough of the president, and then the job's done. Doesn't have to be true.
Look, Donald Trump's been paying women off for decades and decades and decades. He's a wealthy man. He has affairs. He does whatever. It's no big deal. This is just Donald Trump.
And he had a guy that did it for him.
And we all voted, well, not all of us, but those of us who voted for him know darn gone well that Donald Trump has always been a guy that's not been particularly honest when it comes to his womanly affairs.
A New York playboy.
Yeah,
he and many others. Bill Clinton paid off Paula Jones. Again, Gary Hart, John Edwards, I mentioned, that set the legal precedent. Endless people in Congress using taxpayer money, slush fund they created to pay off their mistresses. But there's no uproar, of course, about that. From the Democrats.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy of the Democrats, the mainstream media, the never Trumpers,
the media.
Yeah, they just want to keep hammering. I mean, let's be honest. They looked for Russian collusion and have found zero, nothing. And then they said, well, there's got to be obstruction of justice in there because he tried to keep us from finding Russian collusion.
To find that there was nothing.
So now you've got zip on Russian collusion. You've got zip on obstruction, and now we're going to go for, how about a campaign violation? Let's put him in jail and toss him out of office for campaign finance.
You want to talk about campaign violations?
Exactly.
All the $25 amounts from overseas to the Obama election campaign. Right, Joe? All those untraceable with funny names attached to them. There was no outcry except in some conservative circles.
What it comes down to, this is just nonsense. And I want
Lee funneling all kinds of campaign money from China to Bill Clinton's campaign. No outcry. Dinesh D'Souza was railroaded and sent to prison for the same thing Rosie O'Donnell is walking free for.
Yep. Yeah. Now, why is that? Why does Rosie O'Donnell get a different setup than Dinesh D'Souza? Why?
Racism.
I want to know.
Racism. He's not a white person.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
You got to use the Democrats' identity politics
against them.
Shove it in their face.
Yeah. All right. So, Joe, before we let you go, though, I want to get caught up. I'd be remiss if I didn't say Senate campaign here in Michigan and how important that Senate campaign is to get John James on board instead of Debbie Stabenow. Have you got anything new on your books? What's going on with John James? Have you talked to anyone in the campaign?
No, I haven't talked to anyone in the campaign recently, and the convention is happening this week.
I was going to ask you, aren't you at the convention?
No. I deal blackjack for a local church festival. So if you want to play some blackjack, come to Mount Carmel, 10th and Vinewood in Wyandotte.
Oh, yeah.
Come play some blackjack at my table. If you've never played before, you can learn for just $1 a bet rather than the $10 minimum at the casinos.
Right.
So since I do that, I just wasn't able to get up there, and there isn't anything too much of substance since they changed the rules to railroad and ramrod through the lieutenant governor pick.
Right.
Something cost him somebody.
Okay, well, I wanted to mention this on the air because I've had some conversations with former Senate candidate Bob Carr, who didn't make it all the way through because of signature issues. But Bob Carr is trying to reach out to the John James, as have I, because we need that farm vote. So if there's anybody associated with the John Carr campaign or the John James campaign, please get hold of Bob Carr and his people. And let's solidify the base and make sure we don't lose out those farm votes and everything else. So somebody on the John James campaign, get off your butt and call Bob Carr's campaign or his people or whoever and get hold of them and let's get that squared away. We need unity, and I want to see it.
Ted Goodman, we're talking to you.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Okay, Ted Goodman, get off your duff and return a call to Bob Carr, and let's get this squared away because there's a big farm vote out there that Debbie normally gets, and if you let that go and don't pull it in, you're not going to win. So we need that farm vote. And all you farmers out there listening to me, you better vote Republican this time around, not Debbie Stabenow, because get the big picture, not your own self-interest.
Yeah, the James campaign needs to get its act together in a hurry. That's been the problem all along. They never get back to people, no matter it seems who it is.
You know what? And that's scary because you know what? If you're not willing to get back to people during a campaign, are you going to get back to people once you're elected?
I don't know. They've gotten back to me regularly.
Have they? All right. Well, somebody reach out to them and tell them to get hold of Bob Carr, please. We need the farm vote. This is the last I'm going to say about it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And Bob Carr and Bob Young Jr., of course, endorsed John James at one point, and he's got some good ties to the ag community. So, they need to use both Bob Carr and Bob Young Jr. to go out there and reach the farm community while John James courts other votes. He needs to do much more and much better in Wayne County, which, as we've discussed, you got to get to 30%.
Yeah, 30%.
And
30%.
We have all the trends against us this year, so it's a major uphill battle. Can't take anything for granted. And I was going to make another point, but I forgot what the heck it was.
Well, you can call in next week and get it in then. Yeah. All right, Joe. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care, my friend.
Joe.
Love you.
All right, love you too. Bye. Let's take a call from Mark in Howell. Mark, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. The Drift, the news you need to know.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Plugs.
okay, hire him.
Plugs all around. How you doing, Mark?
Great. I got 5 words for the progressive Democrats, like the Mueller cases, the felonious Russian probe trying to impeach President Trump. If it don't fit, acquit.
Oh, whoa. I like that.
Yes, I like
Where
that.
Where have
too.
I heard that before?
Well, do you remember the O.J. Simpson case? What was his black attorney's name? That was
Johnny Cochran. That was Johnny Cochran.
Mm-hmm. He come up with that. And now another thing. Think of the movie Cinderella. They try to find somebody to fit the ruby slipper, you know? And that sounds like the left, doesn't it?
Yeah. Just, they're throwing everything they can against Donald Trump. And frankly, I think the American people have woke enough, and we realize just how dirty, deep, and self-interested the Democrats, the mainstream media, and the never-Trumpers are. These are all elite, globalist-backing people who don't like what Donald Trump is doing by bringing America back and making America great again. Because why? Their power and their influence is being diminished overseas and around the world and here at home, and Americans are now fighting back and taking the country that is ours. This is our country, not the elite Democrats and mainstream media and elite Republicans in Washington, D.C. This is our land, not theirs.
Well, I like what Pocahontas said. I wish she'd just say it again. You know, like, it's really sad about Molly Tibbetts, but, we really don't need to be persecuting illegal immigrants because they killed an American citizen. That's my paraphrase.
Yeah.
But I mean, wow, that's just special, woman.
And that, folks, that is exactly what Democrats do. They don't care about you.
That's right.
They don't care about American citizens. They only care about the illegals who may vote for them or the refugees that they can bring in and steal your jobs. Those are the people they want to take care of because they know that you are now woke and you don't want to vote for them anymore. And I'm glad. And that's why the black approval rating for Donald Trump is what?